You know we be with it, we off in the hood like some wizards. Nobody ever gave us anything. Made something from nothing, just like magicians. Gotta relearn everything. Just to remember that I was forgetting. Just to remember that we had a vision. Did it all, don't know how I did it. Time to go catch season to go and you know those crystal truth. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Star season to go and you know those crystal children. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Star season to go and you know those crystal truth. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Star season to go and you know those crystal children. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Off on the mission, you know how it goes. Off in the system, they turn up their nose. They took all the soil, but they didn't know. Through the concrete, you see the ropes. Eyes ain't open, don't mean I ain't woke. Ain't got no cash, don't mean that I'm broke.
Welcome. Whew. Here we are again. Welcome in. Hold on just 1 second. Let me work with my mic here. I've got to. All right. Thank you for being patient with me. I'm going to read Points of Power. It's from The Power to begin us. Every person is surrounded by a magnetic field. Everywhere you go, that magnetic field goes with you. You attract everything through the magnetism of your field. Your feelings determine whether your field is positive or negative at any time. Every single time you give love through your feelings, your words, your actions, you add more love to your field all around you. The more love in your field, the more power you have to attract the things that you love. Imagine that you want. Imagine what size it is. Imagine that it starts out a dot, and then it grows and it expands and it becomes, it shifts and it evolves. That's because of you. Take what resonates from this reading. You don't have to believe a word. The energy will still be at your beck and call. The quantum field will still be at your beck and call. It was created especially for you. It has your signature on it. It's unique to you, yet it's part of that which Ra calls the one true creator. The all that is and is not. So as we come here today to open ourselves to wisdom and understanding from the divine, that's Ra, as the divine, that's us. We are seeking ourselves in and as our unique other selves. Bolo hase se na, she loko ate ne. She no tuku u she na ko ate mbete she no. She no ku u che na ki ne tu na. Te shusho no toku. No matter which way the river flows, if you don't flow against it, if you don't push against it, if you ride that flow, you'll get where you need to go without any resistance. Some of you feel that the universe is pushing against you. No, it wants you to turn around and flow with it. It's just asking you, when life shows up to you over and over again, relentlessly, it's asking you a question: which way do you want to flow? So here we are today, deep diving into the unknown, because to us it's unknown. To make it known, we're diving into ourselves, asking and embodying question: what does this reading of this Law of One, Book 2, mean to me? Here we are. We're episode 25, is it not? Oh, majestic Pharaoh Marcus. Is it 25?
25
So
it is.
25 it is. Are you ready to deep dive, Marcus? I'm ready.
Oh,
Let's give it to Marcus so he can
I
say
am-
a few words before we start.
I am definitely ready. Deep dive. And, something really, really awesome that you brought up in the beginning of that reading is our magnetic field. And I just wanted to show this real quick for everybody, the visual of our magnetic field and what it looks like. So our magnetism, our electromagnetic field, flows through our being. And if you see here, it flows through the center of our being, down the middle column. And then this toroidal field rotates in all directions around our body and through our body. So this electromagnetic field is actually going to be what is responsible for our whole entire human functioning and our whole entire human life. So our magnetic field is going to contribute to our manifestation abilities. It is going to contribute to our grounding, our ascension and awakening. It's going to contribute to being in tune with your intuitive nature and your intuition. It is also going to be your key to being in fluid stream with abundance, as well as optimal health and well-being. So with that being said, when you take a look at this larger image, you can see how this field flows and rotates through us. Every single one of us as human beings have this. Just like how humans have a heart, or humans have hands, or they have a mouth. This is part of our energy body. So with that being said, this also ties into the chakras as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring up real quick an image of the chakras and the energy body. And again, I know I bring this up throughout the episodes, but you guys can watch my full in-depth teachings on this on the YouTube channel, Light Body Awareness 101. So let's see here, let's see. Trying to find a good image for us. Okay, so this image here, you can kind of see a little bit. Oh, it says the 12 chakras too. Or just, no, actually a couple of them. But as you can see, the chakras are aligned in that center column, where you can see in that last image, the electromagnetic field flows through that center column. In your center column, you have your chakra centers. And these wheels of light, or wheels of energy, the more that they are rotating properly, the more they are able to churn and keep the fluid motion of your magnetic system flowing through your body, as well as your vital energy. The more that there's blockages or overactivations in these wheels or energy centers, then it can cause distortions and imbalances within our energy field. So keep that in mind, and you can also kind of think back about different rays of light and the chakras that we went over in previous episodes, and kind of see how this all relates to the different octaves of dimensions when it comes to our human being, as well as our health and well-being, and along with what Sandee just read out of that opening read. So I just wanted to share all that, give you guys a little visual since magnetism was brought up, and wanted to give you guys that nice full view of what magnetism is and how it operates with our human being. And keep in mind too, one of the biggest things when it comes to these laws, such as the law of attraction, the law of manifestation, these are all based off of magnetism. They are based off of the magnetic current and fluid energy that is able to flow through our being and be able to be present in this dimension. So, wow, what a way to kick off. Thank you to all of you that are here, and I'm thankful for each and every one of you guys that continue to support and show up to these spaces, share your love. Thank you guys so much as we're on episode 25, and giving love to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of you out there that support. Back to you, Sandee.
Yes. Giving love to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, all the platforms, right? We believe that these platforms are trying to do us a disservice. But that's only if you see it that way, because the divine is going to say, let it be so. However we see it, the divine has no other recourse but to say, you wish that? Okay. It's about your vibrational field. You are in command of the energy of all the laws that work in our behalf, right? We're going to kick this off this way because Ra wants you to know that everything that they channel to and through each and every one of us is so that the one true creator can move through, in, and as us. Ra isn't giving you any different information than they already took themselves and intended to evolve to. That's how they evolved to a 6 density being. That's how they could say they. Okay. So I attune myself to the creative impulses that indwell in me and seek to expand in, through, and as me, as the divine utilizes me to allow wisdom and expansion of energy to move through you. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So before we get started with Ra, there's this book. It's called Adamus Saint Germain. All right. We're pulling out all the channels. Everybody that's channeling through, in, and as somebody, delivering wisdom and understanding so that you can understand that everything is connected. Ra is not just solely out there by themselves channeling this information. Everything is connected back to the one true creator. And the creator is continuously speaking to us. Yes? So this says, I am that I am. Take the comma. He calls himself Adamus. For the essence of Saint Germain, welcome to this living codex. Codex. He says again, in a different way, I exist. I exist. The divine wants you to know, because you exist, you are the I am. I exist is just another way of saying I am that I am. These are the grandest words you can ever proclaim. The words are, again, I exist. It is so simple. Would that every human had this realization deep within in every moment and with every breath, but very do. Very few feel and understand what this means. I say it again, I exist. Most humans simply live, realizing to a degree that they have a consciousness, but rarely realizing that their consciousness lives, that it exists, that it experiences. Take the period. You exist. This is where we begin. You exist. The questioner says, these channels would then be opened by meditation, and I am assuming that the intense polarization would help in this. Is this correct? Going back to the mind, body, and spirit of George Patton. The questioner asked the last time we were reading, was it George Patton's fault, not fault, but through his energy of seeking everything without the heart chakra, the green ray, did he bring his polio on himself? And Ra said, I am Ra. This is correct. So yeah, we're still talking about chakras and green ray and the vibration, that we are energy and we are continuously vibrating. Not only do we have energy within us, we are surrounded by energy. We are surrounded by the vortex, by the quantum field, whatever you want to or choose to call it. As Marcus said in episodes past, our chakra is in front of us and in back of us, and it is supporting us through and through. We have a center of energy within us that is continuously connecting to the energy that surrounds us. And what did I say? I said what the divine said, that energy is seeking to be an expression of you. It's seeking to serve you, be what you want it to be. But if you don't know you, if you haven't embodied you, if you haven't sat at the seat of your soul, or whatever you might want to call it, if you haven't been in your prayer room enough, if you haven't brought you to the table of you, the energy is going to utilize what it can of what you're giving it unconsciously. You are still responsible for it. Oh no, what did you come to this room for, right? It's making me responsible for me. You mean I can't do what everybody has downloaded into me that blame everybody else for me? Especially life. Life doesn't have a sticky with your name on it. It just surrounds you, and it's given to you at every point of how you are creating with it. Consciously developed in the mind, body, spirit complex. The will or need to contact the oversoul. Each path of life experience is unique. However, given the polarization, the will is greatly enhanced and vice versa. Everything is unique. Everything is authentic. You get to make a choice, and the person next to you, you don't need to make the choice for them just because you made a choice. They may be in your story. You can sit back and say, how are you in my story? I got to remember the story. I got to remember when our souls sat down and what they decided to play. What did my higher being want to play, and why are you in my story? Not asking them why they're in your story, but you're asking yourself, why are you in my story? And remember, once again, yes, you are responsible for your story, because you, when you figure it out, when it really hits you, it may not, that your higher being plus your body and your mind, not separate, unconscious, conscious, and superconscious, but the consciousness that is triune, multidimensional, is responsible for itself. Did that just blow you away? Did that just give you a multidimensional view of how responsible you are for you? Right? So the questioner says, let me take an example, the one that you may say was called Himmler. We are assuming from this that his higher self was the sixth density, and it was stated that Himmler had selected the negative path. The higher being that was Himmler selected the negative path. Because some of you don't get it, that our higher beings came to this playground with the ability to choose. We weren't the only ones given free will. Our higher beings came here with the ability to choose that's on the polarity the polarity wheel, or the polarity spectrum, whatever you want to call it. This gentleman, his higher being, chose the negative path. The questioner says, would his higher self then dwell in a sixth density negative type of situation? Can you expand on this concept? Ra says, I am Ra. There are no negative beings which have attained the oversoul manifestation. Take the comma. Which is the honor/duty of the mind/body/spirit complex totality. Of late sixth density, as you would term it in your time measurements. We human beings always got measurements, so they have to go back and go, you termed that, right? These negatively oriented mind, body, spirit complexes, that's us, as opposed to Ra being a sixth density consciousness. Okay. Have a difficulty which to our knowledge has never been overcome. Okay. It says, after a difficulty which to our knowledge has never overcome, after fifth density graduation, wisdom is available, but must be matched with equal amount of love. So what Himmler did was he got there, but he skipped the green way. He skipped the heart chakra, and he didn't balance it with love, unconditional love, because the law of one is the law of love. The law of love is the law of one. Everything was created with the law of one. That is the law of love. Ross says this love light, and the way he writes it is LOVE/LIGHT. This love light is very, very difficult to achieve in unity when following the negative path. And during the early path of the sixth density, take the comma, society complexes of the negative orientation will choose to release the potential and leap into the sixth density positive. That means that they're desiring to merge back with the divine. So they'll take the leap and they'll go into that love light, even though, they played around in the negative arena for a while, right? Ra continues. Therefore, the oversoul, your higher being, and your higher being's higher being, right? You go, higher being has a higher being. Of course, it's called the divine. It's called the one true creator. It's all one. Therefore, the oversoul, which makes the understanding available to all who are ready for such aid, is towards the positive, right? Towards the positive. It did a shift. So the question is, can it do a shift? Yes, it can. Now here's what Ross says. However, the free will of the individual is paramount. See, so your higher being or your oversouls, they've got the will to move in positive polarity or negative polarity. But then you also got the human encounter and its conscious mind that have free will. Oh, what a story, right? Playground drama. Okay. Ross says, and any guidance given by the higher self may be seen in either the positive or the negative polarity, depending upon the choice of a mind, body, spirit complex. That's this body. My story's going to play out. So if I never sit at the seat of my soul and never know what my soul's come to do, my story will still play out. You are in some a type of awareness. Are you in full awareness of body, mind, and soul? Probably not. Do you have to be in that vibration of body, mind, and soul? Probably not. Why? Because as long as you're living life, you are giving your energy quotient to earth consciousness so that she can shift and expand. And guess what? Because she is tethered to humanity, we will eventually shift and expand. Now, take into account, that doesn't mean how many incarnations my higher being has to do in order to satisfy or successfully align with the higher consciousness in the shifting and the evolving. Back to you, Marcus. Whoa.
Flo is right. You know, it's gosh, everything is just so timely, I swear. Because you know, lately I've been having this feeling of like immense maturity taking place within myself. And when I say maturity, I don't mean the very surface level, physical level of maturity. I mean spiritual maturity, maturity in integrity, maturity in detachment, releasing attachments, knowing the truth and being in the truth. And with that, you know, there's been a lot of challenges that have came up lately. And these challenges have came in many degrees, whether it's the health system with my dad, or, you know, technology, or, you know, patterns of connections and relationship dynamics that I have in my life, whether it's a partner or community, friends, whatever it may be. There's been a lot of cycles coming up of you see what you're seeing, you're sensing what you're sensing through these beings. Now, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to bypass it and just kind of coattail along with the fake smile with those people? Or are you just going to be straightforward and real and be honest with your integrity of your values, your boundaries, and your maturity, and then just do whatever's necessary and continue on? And that's been really coming up for me lately. And it's not in a way of, you know, good or bad, this person this person that. It's really from the integrity of energy and vibration. Being accountable for my own self and my own energy field, and really removing what just does not longer serve or suit my energy field for my intentions and what it is that I'm doing on my pathway. And, you know, I've been embracing that more and more, and it's felt really good. It's been challenging at times to really let go of those attachments, let go of those temporary feelings of emotion, and to really dial in and consciously with the mind remind myself and come to that remembrance of why I am doing what I'm doing and what my purpose here is. And not just that, but what type of example do I want to be as I continue into this world? And what type of examples do I want to have around me in my closest surroundings when it comes to the example that I'm trying to set for life? Because that example that we embody is a big part of the change. It's a big part of continuing along the progress. And something I've found is that for me, if I truly want to honor my process, if I truly want to honor the integrity of what I'm doing, then it does require boundaries. It does require vocalization, and it does require just being flat out real with yourself. Is this person supporting the energy that I'm trying to be in or that I'm trying to hold? Is this behavior supporting that? Is this continuous impulsive obsession or continuous impulsive addictive behavior supportive? Really been dialing in a little bit more into myself and really taking a look inside and out at the thoughts I'm having, my behaviors, the impulses, the self-sabotaging. That's been something that's been very much coming up lately. I've been noticing a lot of my old self-sabotaging type of behaviors or thoughts will come up in my mind. But then when they come up, it's funny too, because I'm at a point now where I'm so present with myself that, I'll be doing something, and then next thing I know, it'll cycle through my head, and it's that voice that's like, "Oh man, you're not worthy of all this. Like, you're not doing all these good things. This person just projected on you on Facebook, and they're right. They're right about you and what you're doing." And then, just stuff like that in the head, that's been coming up. But what I found is that when it comes up now, it's like it'll go for a moment, but then I'll recognize it, and then I'll just instantly kind of like cut into it, so to say. And I'll just throw out something funny, or I'll just throw out something that kind of makes it a joke. And then as soon as I do that inside my head, all of a sudden it just starts transmuting and it becomes not even serious. So that's one thing I've been doing when that comes up is, finding that power inside my mind, even when going through a thought experience, to just change it, just cut it out where it is and do something different or say something differently. It could be something that doesn't even make sense, but it's funny, but it just starts to diffuse that energy. And then from that diffusion, it leaves you a great opening to start segueing that energy into something different. And a lot of times what happens is I'll make a joke out of a lot of the thoughts, and then I'll just end up having really healthy laughing, and I transmute it through laugh. So along with this, I've also been feeling and also been sensing in the collective that this is a time for us to step up and step forward in our own authenticity, in our own visions, in our own dreams, and to really start owning it. And I also want to point out as well is be wise about where and who you're sharing your visions with. Be wise about where and who you are giving your dreams and your big plans and business plans to. Because there's all sorts of intentions out there, and there's all sorts of different people out there. And yes, we could be friends with somebody, we could have love for somebody, but they could have different intentions, or they could have a different vision of what it is that you're trying to present to them or share with them. And then next thing you know, what you were planning to do and your vision and what you brought to the table is then kind of being manipulated, changed, and shifted due to outside influences and outside intentions. Now, yes, that can be great if that's something that you're looking for. But if you are someone that's really trying to reserve and hold true to yourself, a vision, a goal, or a dream, just be wise about who you're sharing it with. Be wise about the energy that you're allowing in to saturate that vision or the energy of that vision, or who's boosting it and supporting it unconditionally. this is a great time to really try out and experiment with your gifts. Get out there and try out new things that can give you a complement to your journey, that can help you be able to step more into your empowerment and also shine your gifts into the world. And with that, remember the accountability of your health, your magnetic field, and that being the center, that being the instrument that allows your manifestations, your health, and your vital energy to be able to be put into what it is that you're manifesting. So yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit with you guys of what I've been going through in my human life and how I've been flowing through it and operating with it. Because yeah, some of it's been really heavy, that's for sure. But there's always a way to navigate through this. And there's always wisdom that we can obtain and be able to share with each other. Back to you.
Oh my. There is always infinite possibilities. That's what our quantum field is. That's what our Toro field is. That's the energy that flows within us. That's what energy is. It's a blank slate that you get to sculpt. That's what energy is. Energy says at every moment, what do you want to be? What do you want me to do? How do you want me to flow? Where do you want me to flow? What energy is conscious. Energy is aware. It's aware. It gets to ask you, what do you want? How much of what you want? How much or how little of what you want? Right? As human beings, we are told, that we were told the law of abundance, but we weren't told most of the time that you get abundance either way. You can get abundance of the polarity of positive polarity, and you can get abundance of the negative polarity. So if you're thinking negatively, but you're saying, I want abundance, then the universe has no recourse but to say, your wish is my command, Sandee. I'm opening that door for you. And here comes some negative shit. That's it. That's the only thing it can do, right? So before we read a little bit more of Ra, the act of consciousness. In chapter 10, it talks about how energy works. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Because there's many books, many channelings and channelers and information. Why? Because there's infinite possibilities. Why? Because there's an infinite version of your other self that is, give that self a name. Your best friend Jay or your best friend June. They're other selves, and they're authentic, and they're going to learn the same thing you're learning, but from a different vision point of how it's going to register for them. And guess what? They're going to shift and grow and expand and evolve just like you do. So take what resonates. This is a channel, channeling from Saint Germain through Adamus. Okay? How energy works. Adamus says, now, let's talk. Let's talk about how energy works, because it's an important part of understanding the act of consciousness. Whoa, did they just put two words together that gave you a whole area that you could dive into, the act of consciousness. Not just that you're a conscious being, not just that your higher being is consciousness, not just that the one true creator is consciousness and you are consciousness moving in through and as yourself, but there's an act. There's an action. And Adamus says, let's talk about it. Are you ready? Ra knows how to share the stage, baby. Are you ready? Adamus says, everything starts with consciousness. A circled dot is an ancient symbol that represents consciousness. All right. I'm going to give you what I looked at when I read that. Do you see that dot inside the circle? Let's read some more about it. He says, the a circle dot, is a ancient symbol that represents consciousness, your consciousness. It also represents your soul, take the comma, because your divine is pure consciousness. Your divine is pure consciousness. Did you hear that? Your divine, Marcus's divine, Sandee's divine, whoever else is following us right now, you have a divine, and it's pure consciousness. It's pure energy. The dot in the center represents your origin from all that was, also known as source or God. And the divine just told me to add in all that was and that is all at the same time. That is known as source or the divine. The divine wants you to know when this was channeled, it was given that was became something else. It became you. It became me. It became. But it still was. It still is. The dot in the center represents your origin from all that was, also known as source or God. Take the semicolon. The outer circle represents all the experiences your soul ever had. It's not a straight line, baby. It's a connected circle. And it comes back to one, you in the middle. You are the main ingredient of the recipe. You are the main ingredient of the quantum field that's all around you, of the awareness that flows in, through, and as you. You are the main ingredient. You are unique. You are an other self of someone else seeing itself. Holy shit. So I am Marcus seeing itself as me. Marcus itself as us. Right? It says, it goes on to say, as you have your experiences and your soul distills them, the essence comes back into the soul as wisdom. So all your soul ever sees is an experience. The body and the mind gets to feel the sensation of good or bad, and then we get to make a choice and season the experience, and then the soul gets to take that experience back and reports it through wisdom. The knowingness that is within you right now, it reports it through experiences of the knowingness that's in you right now. It is that wisdom and knowingness that brought about your awakening. Some people have an awakening and they never know what to call it. They just feel that, oh, something happened. Oh, I feel something different. But they don't know how to say, oh, that was an awakening. They'll go their whole lives not saying that they had an awakening moment, but they feel the shift. They feel the wisdom and understanding moving through them. They might not always take action from it, but they grow and expand and they evolve. They might not notice it closely and document it and write it down and daily journal it, but definitely they do. And guess what? That higher being takes that information back as knowing and gives it as wisdom to the divine. And guess what? It doesn't have to wait till you die to do that. It's constantly doing that. That's why this is a circle. It's constantly in movement. Holy shit. No lines, no straight lines, no intersections. But it's okay if we see it that way for a while, because that certainly gives us the recipe for us to move into new territory. So the questioner says to Ra, then using Himmler as an example, was his higher self at that time that he was incarnate in 1940s a 6th density positively oriented higher self? Ra says, I am wrong. That is correct. The questioner asks, was Himmler in any way in contact with his higher self at the time when he was incarnate during the 1940s? Ra says, we remind you that the negative path is one of separation. What is the first separation? The self from the self. Ooh. The first separation is the self from the self. This is why your ego sees it as that it's on its own. It doesn't know how to merge back with that created it. It doesn't know that it was created. It doesn't know that the one true creator created it to have purpose. The one known as Himmler did not choose to use its abilities of will and polarization to seek guidance from any source that is conscious, that its conscious drives. Self-chosen in the life experience and nurtured by previous biases created in other life experiences. The questioner says, well then, let's say that when Himmler reaches 6th density negative, would he realize that his higher self was positively oriented and for that reason make the jump from negative to positive orientation? Ross says, this is incorrect. The 6th density negative entity is extremely wise. It observes the spiritual anthropies occurring during the lack of ability to express the unity of 6th density. Thus, loving the creator and realizing at some point that the creator is not only self, but other self as self. This entity consciously chooses an instantaneous energy reorientation so that it may continue its evolution. It basically says he chooses the negative path to continue his story. The questioner says, then the 6th density entity who has reached that point in positive orientation may choose to become what we call a wanderer and move back. I am wondering if this ever occurs with a negative oriented 6th density entity. Do any ever move back as wanderers? So do you understand what move back as wanderers mean? That means at 6th density, in order to merge with the one true creator at 7th density, to go home, to merge back with the one true creator, you have to embrace your love, your unconditional love, that heart ray, the green ray. Which means that you have to positively polarize at 7. But some entities decide, hey, I want to play around. I want to go back to Earth School. I don't want to come home right now, mommy and daddy. I want to play a little bit longer. So most positive, those that are on the positive polarity path, they get the choice to go back and incarnate again. Some even choose, hey, I don't want to incarnate. I want to take on I want to become conscious and become somebody's consciousness. I want to become the consciousness of somebody experiencing love. So I'll be the consciousness or the act of love for whoever is manifesting that. Do you get that? They don't have to only go back to be the consciousness of another human being. They can take on the consciousness of a tree. So his question is, do those of negative polarity get the choice to be wanderers as well? Ra says, I am Ra. Once the negatively polarized entity has reached a certain point in the wisdom density, it becomes extremely unlikely that it will choose to risk forgetting. For this polarization is not selfless, but selfish. Did you get that? And with wisdom realizes the jeopardy of such wandering. It realizes that if it goes back and it forgets what it is, it has to do the whole thing over again. Okay. So then Ross says, occasionally, a 6th density negative becomes a wanderer in an effort to continue to polarize towards the negative. This is extremely unusual. The reason why is because it can be recognized by a positively polarized entity. It does not want to take on a human incarnation and risk being, going through amnesia. So that means the only thing that it can do is become an entity of consciousness and play out certain roles and do certain acts. Then the questioner says, then what is the mechanism that is unusual? Hold on. Then what is the mechanism that is unusual 6th density entity would wish to gain to polarize more negatively through wandering? Ready? Hold on to your seats. I am Ra. The wanderer has the potential of greatly accelerating the density when it comes into progress in evolution. This is due to the intense life experiences and opportunities of the 3rd density. Thus, the positively oriented wanderer chooses to hazard the dangers of forgetting in order to be of service to others by radiating love of others. That's why it wants to go back. It wants, as a positively polarized entity, it gets to 6th density, getting ready to merge back with the divine, and it turns around and says, no, I want to help Earth consciousness out some more. I want to help align the vibration so Earth consciousness and mankind can shift and evolve. I want to be part of that. I want to be part of that service. If the forgetting is penetrated, the amount of catalyst in third density will polarize, and the wanderer with much greater efficiency shall be expected in the higher and more harmonious densities. They'll wake up quicker. They'll be more harmonious. They'll kind of say, kind of feeling, hey, I've done this before. And wow, I get it. I know what, waking up going, ooh, I know what to do. Oh, that makes sense. Not everything will make sense. They're still got to live life. There's still more to learn, but they wake up more polarized in the positive, right? Similarly, the negative-oriented wanderer dares to hazard the forgetting in order that it might accelerate its progress in evolution in its own density by serving itself in third density by offering to do other selves the opportunity to hear the information having to do with negative polarity. So as long as it's sharing information about negative polarity, and you could say, I don't know, whatever you call it, the do to others before they do to you, and you've seen what the world expects when they're only serving themselves, whether it's the political frame or old religious dogmas or making sure that you get all the money, your employees work and get work hard, but you get all the benefits. You run off with the money and leave your company in dire straits because you didn't care about anybody but yourself. And sometimes it's about sharing the knowledge of the negative polarity. How to hurt people, how to keep people in slavery, how to keep people broke, do you see what I mean? Right? So the questioner says, one more question. Are there any examples of sixth density negatively polarized wanderers in our historical past? Ross says, this information could be harmful. We withhold it. Please attempt to view the entity about you as part of the creator. Can we explain? We can explain no further. So they just went back to saying it's against your free will that we give you this information. We've given you enough information. Go discern it for yourself. Back to you, Marcus. Whoa, right? Right? That made you stop and think, huh? Things that make you go, right?
Yeah. Wow. Sometimes it really just makes you think like, man, this world. All these games and all these movies
Man,
and all these
this
shows
world.
that we see. And all these different things that we see are just all reflections of our multiverse reality. And when you start really seeing things that way, instead of just seeing things as like, oh, this is just a movie, or this is fake, or this is blah, 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 you can really start to see through that veil. And you can start to see, okay, everything, including these shows, including these movies, including these video games, including whatever else, it's tied in with the divine as well. It is also another instrument for that communication of consciousness. And then I went even further and I started like thinking about the actors and stuff. And I'm like, man, you know, like these producers and writers and actors, who are we to really think that, you know, they're not conscious beings or they're not spiritual beings? Now, I think that we may kind of get this coding of numbness sometimes because of a screen, and then we kind of forget that they're also spiritual beings that are also acting as human beings, and a lot of judgment can come. And I've been really dissolving that judgment, and I'll admit to it. I definitely used to carry judgment surrounding actors and all these different things. But then as I started letting go of that and really seeing deeper into like, wow, you know, like I just sit there sometimes while I'm watching something, I'll be like, you know, what was their thought process spiritually in order to come up with this whole entire concept and then articulate it so like clean and so beautifully into an art, entertainment for us to be able to connect with. Like that is so dynamic, that is so beautiful, that is so expansive, just to speak on one aspect of all of life. And then to think like, wow, I can do that too. And then I started thinking again, and I was like, Marcus, you do that. You do that
There
on
you
Wednesdays and Sundays. You do that on Mondays and Fridays.
go.
Like,
Yeah.
wow, you know, the dreams are really, the dreams are not that far out of reach. And I think this is what this message is really coming to for everybody is, you know, don't give up on your dreams. Don't give
Right.
up on the things that you want to become, that you want to experience, because you just never know how you can be there next thing you know. And, you know, I would have never really thought or dreamed that I would be making shows, that I would be making podcasts, and like not just making them, but like making them really clean, really professional, like with, you know, the tools and the instruments that I have, my capabilities and the finances. And then to do it without a tutorial, to do it without a course, without a college education, is just another example to show you that you can literally pick up anything in this world, especially in this time period that we're in, with how much advancement, how much technology, and how many books and things we have at our disposal. You can literally pick up anything today, and then you can start becoming the embodiment of that today, if you really wanted to, and then put some dedication, some habits, some consistency into that work. And then next thing you know, you're right here.
Right.
You know, it started for me, my podcast in 2019, and it was just a simple podcast. You know, I wanted to share the conversations that I was having every day in my life because of how extraordinary they were. So I was like, you know what? Like, I'm so tired of sitting here saying that these conversations need to be recorded. And I'm just going to
Yeah.
start doing them recorded, putting them on a podcast.
Mhm.
And that's how it started. And along with that, you know, it just became a passion of mine to also, you know, bridge community worldwide, give people knowledge and tools to be able to pick up on a easy, efficient space. And you know, the biggest key for me has been continuing to have intentions and continuing to do the things that support and are in the actions of that intention. And I always give this reminder that, you know, actions don't always have to be a large thing. It doesn't always have to be like a masculine output. Actions can also be feminine. You know, actions can be taking moments to surrender. That's an action. You know, taking moments to do self-care in between creating and things of that nature. That balance has been so key. And I just want to say, it's gonna be hard. There's going to be challenges. And that's bound in life. There's no way that anybody could say that they go through their whole life without a challenge. That there won't be some type of quote unquote resistance or test or conflict in their life. So if you can embrace and know that that is a part of life, and that there's a divine purpose to it, it can help you a little bit. That embracement and acceptance can help you relieve your own self from the struggles that you put on your own self. And then you can become more work withable with the energies. Knowing that through these experiences and through these challenges, I'm able to access parts of myself that I would not have been aware of unless those challenges took place and ignited it for it to come out. And wow, what a gift that is. What a gift from the divine to just give us all of these experiences that are illusions, temporary, not even real, to allow us to be able to just play with it, transform it, do whatever we want with it, or do nothing with it and just become dense, become sick. It's all up to you though. But
it makes me laugh. It really makes me laugh. Because when you were talking about, you know, actors or entertainers, and do you know how much energy we put in their hands? How much of us we give them, and then we complain about them. You know, we complain about the fact that they're too rich, or they're too this, or they're too that, or they're too evil, or they're too money grubby, or they're too disgusting, or they're just too this. But the thing is, when I realize that they are expressing their story, and even more when I realized how Ra had explained about the negative polarity and the positive polarity, and that our higher beings were seeking this, that they were seeking to dabble a little bit in polarity, dabble in the positive polarity, dabble in the negative polarity, and they got to make a choice on which polarity they wanted to ride or die in, right? You know, kind of rolling, you know, low riding in whichever polarity they wanted to be in, right? And they're sitting in this low rider car going, I got this, you know, and they get to be. So for here, I'll use Trump as an example. Okay, so he gets to choose between the polarity of what he wants to do, man. And if he wants to be a low life shit, he can be that. But he's also pulling in a little polarities of having some every once in a while having a human quality of love for something. It doesn't mean he has a love for like human beings, but he's got a love for something, right? Your green ray doesn't mean you have to have a love for a human being. The green ray is that you are activating your love for something. It can be money. It can be power. It can be control. It can be the same thing with Biden. The same thing with Kamala Harris or any of the other politicians. They are having an expression of a story, and their higher beings got to choose a polarity. And if that polarity has fit the body, mind, and spirit, then that's the way they're going to walk. That's the way they're going to run. That's the way they're going to strut. That's the way they're going to create. You don't have to agree with it. You can turn around and say, my free will opts me out of that story. You do, you may don't vote, then you don't have a say about anything in this physical life. You're just, you have the option to opt out. You have the option to say, like me, right at a certain point, I don't like voting for the lesser of two evils. So guess what? I opt out. I'm not going to vote. Doesn't mean I don't have an opinion. I might not share it with you, but I'm going to still live this life experience. Why? Because I'm expressing as the divine through this physical vessel, Sandra. Right? I'm just saying, when I look at it that way, holy shit, it makes sense how I can let other people live their have an expressed life story and not jump down their throat because they don't agree with me or because I don't agree with them. I get to let them live their life as long as they're not brutalizing me, terrorizing me, or being physically taking physical action on this body. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do. Why? It's their expression. And I'm going to tell you, Ra mentions this in the first book. When Ra mentioned it, I had to go to YouTube and go to a gentleman who explained it better. His name is Aaron Abke. And when he broke down the points, it was like, holy shit, that makes so much sense. Because I used to wonder, why are there just so many bad people in the world? Well, it's because they get to express that way. Why? Because it's an energetic choice. Did you get that? It's an energetic choice. Energy is becoming not only for the human and the conscious side, but it's also becoming for that higher being. Ooh. You're multidimensional. You're triune. Triune is not just God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost. It's God, you, your mind, and your body. Holy shit, does that make sense? Does that just blow your freaking mind? Does that take you into the infinite possibilities of what you can create for yourself?
Ooh.
Are you vibrating inside right now from the crown of your head to the very tips of your toes?
Tippity toes.
I'm just saying. It makes me I need some hydration now. It's making me sweat.
I can't help but laugh over here. I can't help but laugh. My kundalini is just coming out of my throat right now.
I'm just saying.
Wow. Got
I don't even want
happy tears over here.
Left.
Eduardo, welcome, brother. Good to see you in the comments. Eduardo is a shaman from Peru. Welcome to the space, brother. Good to see you.
Ah, welcome.
Energy like fire. Zooms. Shout out to Archangel Orion as well. Thank you for all the comments. Nature Wolf.
Yes, I've seen all his comments. Yes. It just it's making me like, whoo, right?
Hey, I've been tripping the last few days. Before you start, the last few days, I've been like having these deep moments of self-awareness, and it's almost so deep that it freaks out my human being. So I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, wait a minute, I'm really in this individual presence of this body, and then this body came from somewhere, and then there's like a mind to this body, and then there's also emotions, and then there's like a constant transformation and like motion of everything, And then we have all this stuff like designed and laid out, and highways and roads and all this stuff connected and flowing and so perfect. And then on top of that, we get to just be these super, super finely detailed individual selves that we get to craft and articulate in every moment how we would like to in our own individual ways, while being connected to everything that is and being all that is at the same time. And you get like a mom, a dad, brothers, children, all these different people and jobs. It's like, man, how extraordinary, for real. And that's just not even
For real.
touching a grain. Oof.
Now, take that and internalize it on how every cell in your body moves through a freeway. And it has off ramps and on ramps. And it's like, just blows your mind, right? just blows your mind.
Oh
That
my
the
God,
one
the
true
body.
creator could create that on the outside and the inside. That the one true creator had this vision of you and then gave it to you and said, okay, take it to the next level. Take it to the next level. And you go, really? Me? Right? Before I read this last question and Ra's answer, right, which I believe closes the session of session 36, Marcus said something that he said, we were talking about the actors and entertainers and whatnot. Ever since I was a child, I've always wanted to act. There was not a time where I was not in character. There was not a time that I was not standing in front of the TV, acting out all the characters on the TV, and having my brothers and sisters fling me to the floor and saying, get out the way of the TV, right? So it never quite happened when I was a kid. There were always these, workshops that I could sign up for. But understand this: I was raised the middle child of with 5 siblings. So I was the third child in the middle. I had an older sister, older brother, and a younger sister, younger brother, or younger brother, younger sister, in that format, right? My brothers didn't want to do any type of acting. They were into athletes. That's where they're, right? So it would be my sisters that would go in tow with my mom to go to these workshops to see how much they cost and that whole thing. My older sister, she was just the babysitter that kept us in check. She didn't really want to act. But my baby sister wanted to do everything I wanted to do. So if there was a workshop that I wanted to go to for my mother, it would be ×2. So most of the time it wouldn't happen. So I would only be dreaming this. But I dreamed it so long, that was intention so long, that when the DVD, The Secret, came out, and everybody was talking in the DVD, they were talking about, hey, you want to use the law of attraction or power of manifestation, start with a cup of coffee. No, I started with, I want to be an actress. That's what I did. Okay. And I'm going to tell you the little story behind it. Along about that same time, I had went to have a mammogram done, just a normal mammogram, and they found some shadows and whatnot. And so I had to go through that process as well, right? And I had to do radiation treatments. While I was doing, I was my own manager. I was my own the agent. I got on the computer and I would book myself gigs and stuff. I built my own own what do you call it? Notes, reel. And I was going and doing my radiation treatments and going to classes and whatnot. But the intention was, how that happened was, I was at I went to a Starbucks every day, on a Saturday, mainly. See the same people all the time, have a smile. We didn't know each other's names. But one day, I went to my son, said, Mommy, you really want to do this? So he gifted me a workshop that was an all-day workshop. He paid for it. I went to it. It was me being on camera, getting the little information, showing how I can do my reels, everything. Guys, I saw myself on camera. I fell in love with me. I fell in love with me. And then the teacher said, the camera loves you. I fell in love with me, and the camera fell in love with me. Then the next Saturday, I went back to the Starbucks, and all of a sudden, these people were saying, hey, we missed you. People that I didn't know the name, we missed your smile. Where'd you been? And I told them what was going on. They started pulling out business cards saying, hey, call this person. Hey, my daughter goes to this acting studio. Call this person. Make sure you call. Before I left the Starbucks, he kept saying, make sure you call her. Right? I can name drop her name. She doesn't mind. Her name was Amy Linden, and I was in her class. I called her on the phone, and she said, oh yeah, so-and-so told me that you were going to be calling. Come down and audit a class. It's free. I did acting for, 4 years. I found out that I have a love for it, but I did not want it to be my bread and butter. I wanted it to be I wanted to keep enjoying it. I didn't want it to be something that I would have to struggle to make happen with my kids growing up. I liked the comfortability that I was providing for them with the money that I was getting, with the growth and expansion of working in the accounting arena and that kind of thing. But I got to say to myself, Sandee, you did it. When I sat back, I have my reel to date that when I built a reel. I worked with actors and I worked with directors that actually would call me and go, hey, do you like the scene that you just did? I didn't know that actors, first-time actors didn't get to do those kind of things. But it was me taking the moment to step into the unknown and make it known. That's energy. That's bumping up against the quantum field all the time. That's giving you these infinite possibilities of energy saying, what do you want to be for me, Sandee? And at the same time, I finished my treatment. I got a good, good bill of health. The gift of health was flowing. I got to experience 4 years of growth and expansion as being an actor and understanding a little bit of what they go through. To bring you a movie, they do 17-hour days. To bring you a movie, they memorize their whole script, and the people that they're co-actors in the scene. Now think about it. I don't know about their specific intention, but their intention to do that is energy. Good, bad, indifference. They embarked on using their energy, whether they were conscious of it or not. Whether they believed in the the law of attraction or manifestation or the law of cause and effect or any of that. They embraced it, and the energy replied. Right? The questioner says, I thought I'd just share that. The questioner says, I'll just ask one short one before we close. Can you tell me what percentage of the wanderers on Earth today have been, and this is on Earth at the time that this book was written or the channeling was done, have been successful in penetrating the memory block and have become aware of who they are? And finally, is there anything that we can do to make this instrument more comfortable or improve the contact? Okay, so the instrument is the person that Ra is channeling through. Okay, Ra says, I am Ra. We can approximate the percentage of those penetrating intelligently their status. This is between 8.5% and 9.75%. There is a large percentile group of those who have fairly well defined, shall we say, symptomology indicating to them that they are not of this, shall we say, insanity. This amounts to a bit over 50% of the remainder. Nearly 1/3 of the remainder are aware that something about them is different. Sorry, that was my phone. Sorry about that. Of the remainder, nearly 1/3 of the remainder are aware that something about them is different. So you see, there is many graduations of awakening to the knowledge of being a wanderer. We may add that it is to the middle and first of these groups that this information will, shall we say, make sense. Okay, so that's if you want the percentages. And then Ross says, this instrument is well. The resting place is somewhat deleterious in its efforts upon the comfort of the docile side of the instrument. I think that just means that she needs to be more comfortable while where she's laying. We have mentioned this before. And then Ra says, you are conscientious. We leave you now, my friends. I am Ra. I leave you in the love and in the light of the infinite creator. Go forth, then, rejoicing merrily in the power and the peace of the one true creator. And then Ra says, Adonai. Okay. So that was in 1981, I believe. Yes, March of 1981. Back to you. Sorry for, I can't control my phone ringing, guys, but I did try to, get to mute it. So that's the end of session 36 in the second book.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know what it is, but I keep laughing today. Very, very higher heart chakra energy. And I think it's me laughing at the illusions and attachments that I was holding on to. And then just coming into the even deeper remembrance from the text as well. It's just all it's all a beautiful, fun game in the end. And What are you guys going to do today? Is the question that I have to ask. What are you guys going to do today? Now, I don't mean, are you going to go to the park? Are you going to take your kids out to lunch? I mean, what are you going to do in the deeper core of yourself today? What are you going to do with this awareness, this knowledge of self? Are we going to go right back into our same patterns, our same limited beliefs about ourselves? Are we going to continue to say that we're struggling or to carry ourselves as a victim? Are we going to try something new that we may have been feeling the nudge to try, but maybe haven't been because we're resisting it? Are we going to address the elephant in the room that has been taking up space within your mind? The reason why I bring this stuff up is because just bringing things to simplicity and simplicity of our power. Remembering that these kind of things factor into our power. They factor into our magnetism. They factor into our well-being, as well as stability and connection to unconditional love. And I know it's very simple stuff to talk about, very easy things to talk about. But for a lot of us, we don't live in a simple life. We live in a very complicated life, a very confused life. Sometimes simplicity is that antidote that we need to get ourselves back to balance, to get ourselves back to center. And sometimes it is peeling layers, shedding cords, releasing people, places, and things. It's not always about ascension. It's not always about activating. It's not always about awakening. There's also that balance, that duality of releasing, clearing, surrendering, letting go. So then you can have a proper vessel, proper energy field to be able to be more fluid, to be able to vibrate higher, to be able to magnetize more, attract more resources, people, support, unconditional love in different forms. While remembering that we are all divine. We all have a higher self. We all have guides. We all have ancestors. We all have temporary experiences to move through. And then, as you may remember in our last reading, we talked about the weighing of the heart. We talked about the halls of a mentee. The halls that you move through with your spirit and soul after an incarnation. And man, when we can remember and understand what that is, what it's for, then you just remember, wow, I am really in this infinite creation. Because even after this incarnation here with this flesh body, my consciousness continues on, and it continued before this body, and continues during it, continues after. And once I leave this body, I'll be given another opportunity divinely at where I'm at in that moment, vibrationally and consciously in my spirit, to then figure out what to do next on my journey. And I'll be given a gentle and graceful and a loving assistance in that process by these beautiful guides of the Law of One that have been crafted by our Creator. And with that, you really see there is no right or wrong. We've talked about many figures throughout this whole entire journey, these 25 episodes. One of those figures we talked about, baddest man ever in history, as some of us would probably say, Adolf Hitler. we find out through Ra, through 6 density perception, Hitler got to go up to another dimension. So, with that being said, there's a little bit more to than our human eyes know what's going on here. And when we really come across this type of information, at least for me, it kind of really takes me back a little bit. And it takes me back in a way of, okay, maybe it's really not my job. Maybe it's really not my duty. Maybe it's really not my position to even be worrying about people's souls and where they go, or if they deserve this or don't deserve that. Because obviously there's something more to this. If, you know, someone that can come onto this planet, go through what they went through, and if we also remember this human being, Hitler, actually started as an innocent child, went through experiences that plummeted him into his lower chakras and disconnected him from his heart due to the rejection and the other things that he faced as a child. So with that being said too, there's also the remembrance that there is also experiences, there's things that happen that can alter our frequency, and then we can hold on to things, or we can become traumatized in ways that then plummet us into darkness or ignorance of self. And that's why we hold compassion. We hold compassion for each other. Because man, if this is someone's normality and what they want to do, then there's something in there that may be hurting. So holding compassion is a very deep thing. And, you know, just really, you know, thinking about that with, you know, all that had happened through him on this planet, and then to find out that he's able to move up into another dimension. It just, like I said, it really shows you that we don't need to sit here and judge each other. We don't need to sit here and try to say who's wrong, who's right, who's going to this place, who's going to that place. Because ultimately, it's not going to be decided by our individual selves. It's really not. And you can give your own self relief by choosing to let go of that stuff. Nobody else will do it for you. It's up to you, if you want to, in your own reality, to let go of judging people, trying to control, trying to say that they are this or that they're going to heaven or hell. Let that be up to the Creator. You know, if we're walking in faith, part of walking in faith is knowing that the Creator's got everything handled when it comes to the things outside of our control. Another thing I also remember is, just because we see someone or know someone in the present state that they're in, doesn't mean that that present state of experiences that they're going through isn't molding them to become an even better version of whatever that is, or an even wiser version of whatever that is, to then be able to be one of the best teachers, or to be one of the best companions in this human life, to be able to share the wisdom and the knowledge behind something. So keep that in mind as well.
Yummy tidbits. Talk about stepping up to the buffet of wisdom and understanding, taking what resonates for you, what fills you up, what allows you to grow and expand, right? So this is what the divine wants me to leave you with. I don't know what you're going to take of it. And this is from The Power. It was written by Rhonda Byrne. And it says, here's the beginning of that. It says, life follows you. See that orange? I love that color orange, right? And those lights, right? And it says, life follows you. Absolutely everything you experience in your life is a result of what you have given out in your thoughts and your feelings. Whether you realize it or not, whether you have given them on purpose or not, life is not happening to you. Life is following you, and it's happening because of you. Your destiny is in your hands. It was never given to anyone else but you. Whatever you think, whatever you feel, you decide your life. It's about putting yourself back in your own hands. Some people may say, I'm calling my power back. But where are you calling your power back from? Are you calling it back from where you left it or where you gave it to? You have to go in and internalize and embody you being responsible for you. What does Superman say? With great power comes great. Finish it for me, guys.
Great power comes great responsibility.
Thank you. Great power comes great responsibility. You were given that when you were born. Everyone was given it. Everyone was given the same amount of portions. Nobody was given more than the other. The 1% got to be the 1% because they did it a certain way. We are not in the 1% because we chose not to do it that way. Have you ever really just sat down and sat with that? I had to sit with that. That being in the 1% was maybe not for me because I needed to serve self because I was part of self. And then others wanted to serve self only at the cost of all others. So I couldn't be there. That's what I saw. What will you see? You will see something different about the 1%. And it's okay if you want to be part of that. It's okay if you want to be part of that exclusive group. Why? Because it's your expression. I use that as an example because somebody brought that up to me yesterday. And they looked and they said, oh, they're real bad people. No, they just happen to be people who are expressing a certain way. And then I read this today about individuals expressing the lower polarity. They get to do that. But here's the bottom drawer falling out is you have the free will as an opt-out to do anything else you want to do in life. You don't have to be a part of that group. You don't have to be a part of the religious dogma group or the leftist or the rightist or any of that. You get to be at you. How are you going to paint that picture of you? Which tool are you going to pick up? Life is being you because you're giving it direction, even if you don't realize that you're giving it direction. If you're looking at your life outside and it's totally chaotic, you have to go inside. You have to go within. Turn on that projector and look at what it's showing you because that projector is from within. The only change that's going to happen is from inward out. But change is guaranteed to happen no matter what. The divine did not promise you that it was going to be easy breezy. The divine promised you that there would be change. There would be a shifting and an evolving, and you get to experience it all. And your opt-out clause on playing on Earth Consciousness Playground is your free will button that's within you. Go within and seek it there and find out the places that you want to opt out. And then once you acknowledge what you want to opt out of, change, transform, alchemize, release and let flow, shift, and expand. Sounds like a lot to do, but it's all in flow. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and we'll see you on Sunday. 3:33.
That's right.
Pacific Standard Time. 6:33 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for joining us. Whew.
Whew. Another one in the books. We are on 1/4 episodes of Ascending Beyond Limitations. Wow. Kicked off on my birthday on June 3rd. Then we had yours shortly after.
June
What
12th.
a journey it's been. Wow. Oh. Whew.
1/4.
And just so you guys know, there are still 3 more books to go after this book.
Yes, there are.
So, who knows how long this will be going? Could
Ooh,
be
yummy,
111,
yummy.
111 episodes.
Yes. So join us. If you're coming in and you're catching it at the end, catch it on Marcus's replay on his YouTube and my replay on my YouTube. It'll be available in our Instagram and on Facebook. But follow us. Follow us everywhere we are and everywhere we're not. That's how energy works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he says, mm-hmm.
Right. You guys can tap in. You guys can tap in with us in the other spaces that we hold. We both do multiple different things other than this podcast. And yeah, thank you guys for supporting. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you for following. Thank you for commenting and sharing. Greatly appreciate it. And ooh, what you got coming up?
I've got my star meditations tonight at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Join me. It's star meditations with light language. You know, sometimes you just got to give yourself some grace. Give yourself some time to say, what more? Go inward and reflect. Just like Marcus says, know thyself. You're the only one that can take you to that point where you need to. Stop by. It's live on IG. I'll be there. I'll be there. Just call my name, Star Meditation. And then I have my podcast on Friday, Soul Conversations with Sandra, the podcast. And guess what, guys? I don't have a guest, so it's going to be freestyle. I have room for 3. So join me. The conversation is going to be about consciousness. Consciousness.
Ooh.
Consciousness. How many times can Sandra say that? Consciousness. Yummy,
You just hear
huh?
echo. Consciousness, consciousness, consciousness.
Consciousness. Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Soul Conversations with Sandra. It's a podcast. And then on Saturday, Soul Talk with Sandee M. I have a guest who is John Michael. He's from IG's John Michael Poetry. Yes, we're going to talk about poetry and how he uses it in his everyday life and to support his community. 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's streaming only on YouTube, so join my YouTube. Soul Awakening with Sandra is the YouTube. And you'll be able to find me live. Streams live. Join me. What you got going on?
What do I have cooking over here in the kitchen? If you smell what the rock is cooking. Coming up. Ooh, let's see. Yeah, me and my dad have been watching a little bit of throwback WWE lately, so you know, I've been in my Rock and Stone Cold vibe and Undertaker vibe lately. I was sitting there watching it yesterday, and I was like, Dad, do you ever think about how weird it is that this is so popular? Like, not in like a judgment way or anything. It was just like a observation, like, how is it that every single show, every single week, for like 20 years straight, sold out tickets, hundreds of thousands of people, every single show, watching wrestling? Like, how dynamic is that? Like, there's something to this, you know? There's something to really observe about it, and the fine details of like success, accomplishments, manifestation. Like, it's incredible too, especially when you learn, you know, what the road trips are like for them, their journeys, their health, the things they put their bodies through just to entertain people. Like, wow, man, I give praise to them. Like, you could like it or not like it, but when it comes down to the fact of what they're doing with their bodies at the capacity that they do it for so long, without even taking months out of the year off, wow, I applaud them. But so coming up, I have on Friday, I have Rising with Ra at 11:11 a.m. Eastern, and that is on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And I will be covering the Earth Star Chakra. So I'll be doing a collective reading. I'll be going over the Earth Star Chakra, and then we will also be doing a guided Reiki practice to clear and activate your Earth Star Chakra that I will demonstrate step by step and lead us through. And we'll also be using crystals as well. So that'll be Friday, 11:11 a.m. Eastern. And then coming up on Sunday morning at 10 a.m., I will be having a second episode podcast of my spiritual recovery podcast with Mary Beth, who is a addiction coach and life coach. We'll be talking about some spirituality as well as different ways to be able to consciously overcome addiction and to be able to step more into your power when it comes to, you know, spiritual propaganda and other misleading things surrounding spirituality as well. So that'll be Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then on the 14th, I have coming up a third eye chakra empowerment workshop online that is free, donation based. And you guys can just reach out for me for the link and I can send that over to you. But it is a third eye chakra lesson and teaching, as well as a journaling space to be able to journal out any blocks, any overactivations in the third eye chakra. And then you guys will have space to reflect and receive guidance. And then I'll be leading us through a third eye chakra meditation with affirmations to help clear out and recalibrate that energy center. So those are the things I have coming up. I also might as well go ahead and just drop the news now, but coming up in November, I will be holding a retreat in South Carolina, and that will be at my mother's house. So it'll be a beautiful family energy, holistic healing retreat held at my mother's home in South Carolina. And the details will be coming out soon about that. So I'll be dropping that pretty soon, letting you guys know about tickets, what I'll be when it comes to the details of it. And yeah, that'll be coming up around the first week in November. So a lot of beautiful things coming and a lot more to come. A lot of opportunities, a lot of spaces for you guys to be able to tap in, not just with myself, but with Sandee as well. And one thing about me and Sandee being Gemini sun signs, this is a continuous motion, baby. This ain't gonna stop. There's gonna be space after space after space for you guys to tap in. There'll be different ways of having the spaces too.
Yeah. Yes, the waves are just kind of like you got the Red Sea coming this way, you got the Pacific Ocean going that way, you got the Atlantic going that way, and we've got the surfboard just riding all the waves, man. So join us. Matter of fact, the board is big enough. Jump on the back, ride with me, right? So anyway,
That's right. We'll lead the way too. Just hop on.
Just hop on, yeah. Be blessed, wholeness, balanced, unconditional love to you. You are the divine creator. Mm-hmm. You have over 50, it's believed that we have over 50 million thoughts happening in one occurrence. All of them are not going to come to fruition, but the ones that you pick, choose, and think about consistently will be created from. Become active in knowing what you're creating. Become an active creator. Take responsibility for you. No one else is. And then go out there and create some wonderful, wonderful, glorious, magnificent journeys. Magnificent journeys.
Yes.
According to you, not according to someone else. Be blessed. One love.
That's right. And everybody out there, just remember motion. Remember to keep yourself in motion when you start to get stagnant, when you start to get too cramped up in your thoughts, or you start to get cramped up in your emotions. Just remember, you can remember motion. Get yourself into motion. It will really help that. It will really help that process. When we get stagnant and stuck, act like we are stuck. Oof, it can just fume those energies. But once we get in that motion, whether it's some stretches, some yoga, some breath movement, going outside, standing in the sun for a moment, starting to create towards that goal, putting things out on paper, these little things can really help bring relief to the tension in the being. Just want to give you guys that reminder of motion, keeping your energy in motion when it feels stagnant and stuck. Everybody have a blessed and beautiful day. We will see you guys on Sunday. And I will see you guys on Friday. Wholeness and balanced love.